Let's look at one more standard of practice, 12-7.
Only realtors who participated in the transaction as the listing or cooperating broker, selling broker, may claim to have sold the property. Prior to closing, a cooperating broker may post a sold sign only with the consent of the listing broker.
This means that both the listing and selling agent can represent that they sold the property. It also means that any other realtor who was not involved in the transaction cannot represent or imply that they sold or were involved in the sale of the property. Let's take one last look at an Article 12 dilemma with Fast Fred. Again, for bonus points, see if you can pick any other articles that Fred may have violated.
Miss Fern, I don't understand what the problem is here. This is a great property at a great value, and when you signed the contracts, you couldn't have been more delighted.
You're right, Fred, but that was before I knew what I was buying. Like a roof that needs to be replaced and the heating system is on its last legs, and the list goes on. And I hope you'll recall that it was you who suggested that I waive a home inspection, so as to make my offer more attractive to the seller.
Now, Miss Fern, my recollection is that I said it was an option. The choice was yours to make, and quite frankly, I think that was one of the reasons the seller accepted your offer.
Well, now I wish he hadn't. I had my brother-in-law, who is a home inspector, check out the property, and he says the roof is going to need to be replaced almost immediately. The heating system dates back to the Roman Empire, and it gets worse from there.
Now, Miss Fern, I think that your brother-in-law is blowing things way out of proportion.
Really? Well, like I said, the list goes on. You represented the taxes were $5,800. I've just discovered that they're $7,000. And you indicated that the square footage was 2,800. Well, according to the town, the square footage is 2,200.
Miss Fern, I am sure that's not the case. I know I had the correct information on the multiple listing service.
I wouldn't know about that, Fred. I only went by the extensive color brochure that was at the home, the one that said roof almost like new, heating system recently updated, low taxes of only $5,800, square footage of 2,800.
I can't say I recall the color brochure. It must have been outdated. You know, your agent really should have provided you with the most current information from the MLS.
Fred, you were my agent. Remember I saw this property at an open house? You never provided me with an MLS listing. You only gave me the color brochure. You also told me that you'd be able to guarantee I'd get the property at a good price. Well, now I know why.
Hold on, Miss Fern. It's starting to come back to me. I think the difference in square footage is because the 2,800 includes that lovely finished basement.
I figured that out, Fred. The only problem is the owner never obtained a permit for the finished basement. Even if I succeed in getting the permit, that means the taxes are going to go even higher. And speaking of that nice color brochure which has several pictures of this lovely deck, well, guess what else doesn't have a permit?
What would that be?
The deck. And, by the way, according to the town, it's illegal. It's too close to the property line.
Oh, my. That is bad news.
This is just too painful to watch. Fred would be lucky if Ms. Fern was content to just file an ethics complaint. To me, it sounds as though the next phone call that Ms. Fern makes will be to her attorney. But if you take Ms. Fern at her word, it sounds as though Fred's color brochure definitely failed to present a true picture and contained significant misrepresentations that would constitute a violation of Article 12 of the Code. What were the other two articles that you could allege Fred violated?